Well, that's round one complete of the AFL 2023 season. So first, we're going to check back and see how we did in round one, and then we're going to look at my tips for round two. As you can see, round one started with what I thought was not going to be the most exciting game. I tipped Carlton Blues to win by 6 points, and we were so close to getting it right until the Blues bottled it, basically. Now, we get some match point. We were very, very close to the correct score, but it's interesting to see a lot of people did predict that Richmond would win. That is the big percentage of people thinking they would win, and they almost did at the end, but Carlton got away with a draw, and we were so close, but no cigar. Next up, game two was Geelong versus Collingwood. Now, I predicted Collingwood to win. I only predicted them to win by 6, but once again, a lot of people thought Geelong would win. And it did look like it. Geelong had incredible kicking in this game. They were so deadly, especially in the first half, but they lost the energy, they got swamped, and Collingwood really did mop up the pieces and pushed away with a fantastic result for the Pies. Although it pains, I'm sure, everyone to say something like that, except Pies fans. But I got it right. 6 points I predicted. It ended up being a 22-point win for Collingwood. Now, next up, I also predicted this right. I thought it would be a little bit bigger of a win for North, because I think they're a very plucky team. I predicted a 15-point win by North. However, they only won by 5. But a win is a win. And these are still, in my opinion, the two teams that will finish at the bottom of the table at the end of the season. But the majority went for North this time, and they were correct. So I pick up some more points by picking North. Then down to Port versus Brisbane. Now, once again, as you could assume, 70% of people predicted Brisbane to win this. Now, I did say last week in the tipping video that you don't know what team, it's same as Port Adelaide and Crows, you don't know what team is going to turn up. They're either absolutely fantastic or rubbish. There's never sort of an average ground there. And this was a game where they were absolutely fantastic. They absolutely thrashed Brisbane. I predicted Brisbane to win by 20. Yeah, by 20. As you can see, nobody in our tipping competition got anywhere near the correct score for Port Adelaide, who won by 54. Wow, what a result. The Port must be buzzing after that result. So nothing at all for me there. That was not a good one. Next we go to Melbourne. I did predict a big win. I predicted by 26 for Melbourne to win, which the majority of people did a Melbourne win. This is the amazing thing. I think one person in our tipping competition got it spot on. A 50-point win by Melbourne. That was predicted. I think a lot of people, as you can see, predicted Melbourne to have a comfortable win, and they bossed it like they should have done. Now, this one is interesting because I know a lot of other guys. I know Cardman, for example. He predicted the Gold Coast Suns to beat my mighty Sydney Swans. Oh, what a fool he was! Because, yeah, I predicted Sydney by 30, which is annoying because I thought that was a fairly close, a fairly decent prediction, and Swans went and won by 49, so I don't even get the extra points, even though I predicted a big one. There was someone else that predicted Swans by 50, so they get a close point, as well as a few others. Oh, I knew it, and a great performance by the Swans. A strong attacking side that I knew we have, just got to continue it against the better sides. Now, the next one, look, lots of people predicted the Giants win. I predicted the Giants to win. I even get an extra point for being close, within 30% of the score. However, Crows bottled it, didn't they? I've said this twice now, but the Crows bottled it. They were playing so well, and then they fell apart. They absolutely fell apart, and the Giants basically took advantage of that and ended up winning by 16 points over the Crows. Next, on to Hawthorn versus Essendon. This one, I thought Hawks might win, but I didn't really have much of an idea because, once again, like Port, like Crows, Essendon are a team that may turn up and may not. However, on the day today, they won comfortably, and no one in the tipping competition got any points for a close score. You certainly had 60% of the people got the correct team result, but no one predicted anywhere near a 59-point win for Essendon. So congratulations if you picked Essendon, but no one was really close enough. And then we get to the last game of the week. In my opinion, this was the second one I did a watch along with the Cats versus Collingwood game. This wasn't the greatest of games. Tactically, it was poor. It was sloppy, real poor passing, real poor decisions on the final ball. But I predicted a fairly comfortable win for the Dockers, but it was not to be. And St Kilda ran out the winners by 15 points, which is basically the opposite of what I did. So if we go to how the current standings are after week one, a big congratulations to Otis13, who is the winner of the round. A big performance by him with 8 correct team results. Fantastic for that guy. I'm currently sitting down in 18th, which I don't think is too bad, with how many points? A total of 6.5 points. So basically you get a point for getting the right result, and then you get, I think, another point for a close result or something along those lines. But with the wooden spoon for this round, all the way down, Jacko 99. Jacko 99 gets the wooden spoon with only 1 point. How do you only get 1 point? There are plenty around him, though, who also didn't do so well. But I would like to say it is incredible that we've got currently 90 people in my tipping competition. So it's going to certainly be difficult for me to be right at the top. But I'm up for the challenge. No, don't forget, if you want to join this tipping competition, there's still time. Go to the Discord server, and it's all showing in there, and I will put it in the description of this video. Right, so let's get on to round 2 of the AFL season, with the first game being on Thursday, Carlton versus Cats. Geelong at the MCG. Now, I've got to say, the Cats were fantastic for the majority of the game last week, and they went away with a loss. Carlton didn't look deadly in front of goal. They looked fairly poor in midfield, and, well, I don't think there was much of a competition in defence. There's no point of saying that. So I am going to go for Cats. I think they're going to rebound from last week, which was I wouldn't say it was a shock result, because I thought Collingwood would win. But with the way the Cats started, it was certainly a shock that they fell apart in the way they did. So they've got some redemption to try and sort. Now, I don't think Carlton are any good in attack, so I don't think they're going to get many points. I'm going to go with Geelong by 20. No, I'm not. I'm going to go Geelong by 30. And that's not trying to be offensive to Carlton, but sadly, you're just lacking. It's an average team, and after the last performance, it wasn't good enough. I think Cats should have enough to win. Now on Friday, we are at the Gabba. Yes, we're at the Gabba, and with Brisbane versus Lion. Now the question is, yes, Brisbane are at home, Melbourne are away, but we've got to look at form, right? We've got to look at the form, and I know there's only one game. Round 1 can be full of surprises, but Melbourne are such a strong team that they are going to be there or thereabouts, all day long for sure. So I'm going to go with Melbourne. It's more of a case of How much do I think Brisbane will recover from last week's demolishing that they had? I still think Melbourne are going to win. I'm going to do Melbourne by 20. Just gut feeling that Melbourne are a very, very strong team, and that was not a good display by Brisbane. And I think with the last game of Melbourne, they're going to run on the momentum and perform well. Next up, it is Collingwood versus Port, and it's at the MCG. It's at the MCG. Collingwood normally perform fairly well at the MCG. I know Port had a fantastic game last week, but was it one of those ones where they were just having a good day? Possibly. And I think Collingwood, they could have done better last week with their finishing. I don't think their finishing was as clinical as it could have been, and it certainly wasn't technically as clinical as the Cats were. But I think Collingwood have won this. I think they're going to win it. Decent score. I'm going to do 20. Could be more. Once again, it's always the same. It depends what Port Adelaide team actually turns up, because they can get demolished or they can absolutely smash a team, and it's sort of nothing in between. But I'm going to go with a 20-point win for Collingwood on that one. Next, we are over on Saturday to the Adelaide Oval for the Crows versus Richmond. I've got to go. I don't know. This is a real tough one. I think this is the toughest pick of the week, actually. Crows, look, they performed so well for most of the game. Richmond were scrappy. They were average. They drew against Carlton, so their performance was just as good / just as bad as Carlton. I may be completely wrong, but I'm going to go with Crows. I'm going to see if they can keep up their performance from last week and hope they don't collapse. I'm going to do it by 6. Going to keep it as a narrow one, I think. Just hedging my bets because I have no idea. I think that is the trickiest one to call this week for sure. Then, Marvel. They've got another game at the Marvel, Western Bulldogs versus St Kilda. I just think Bulldogs are a poor team, and I don't think St Kilda are that great either, but I'm going to go with the form. If in doubt, I think I'm going to go with the form. I think that's probably the best way to go. It technically means nothing on the day, but I'm going to go with the form. So I'm going to go St Kilda. Close one again. I'm going to do them by 6. Yeah, it's a little bit... Bulldogs have been pretty poor, and so I'm not necessarily expecting anything from them. Next up, Dockers versus Melbourne. Look, I know North Melbourne won, obviously, last week against the... why have I completely forgot? Hang on, I will find it. It wasn't the Gold Coast Suns, West Coast Eagles. They won against West Coast Eagles, but they are two teams that I've predicted to be 18th and 17th. So it wasn't necessarily a huge challenge. I think Fremantle, they definitely didn't perform well enough in round 1, but it is at the Optus, lovely stadium. I cannot wait to go and visit that when we come to Perth in September. I'm gonna go Fremantle, and they're gonna perform. It's gonna be a 15-point win. It might not be, but I'm going to say this now. It's going to be a 15-point win to the Dockers. They've got to improve from last week, and they are facing a weaker team in North Melbourne. I know they're plucky, but they don't have the quality, in my opinion. Then the mighty Swans on Sunday. Why is it at 3:10 in the morning? I would so love to watch it, but it's at stupid o'clock in the morning. I am not getting up at that time. Right, well, I would say it's Buddy's new team versus Buddy's old team. However, it's not, because he is suspended. How much of a big loss is that? I don't think it's a massive loss. I don't think he has the leadership that you want from an experienced player like him. So I still predict a Swans win. It's at Sydney. We are a bloody strong team, no matter what anyone says. Hawthorn, they were lackluster, weren't they? They were really lackluster. I'm going to go 30. I'm going to go 30 win. Could be more, could be less, but I'm pretty confident it's going to be a Swans win. Hawthorn they just don't have it. Lackluster is I think the best way of putting it. But a strong Sydney win even without Buddy. Yeah, that's the Sunday one there for the first game. Next up, 5:20 a.m. kickoff. I'm talking about my time, obviously, in the UK. Essendon versus Gold Coast. Gold Coast were poor. They were poor. Essendon were good. So I've got to go Essendon. That's all I've got for you. That's all I've got for you. I think, see if Essendon can capitalise on what they did last week with a really, really strong performance. I don't think many people were predicting. I'm going to go for a 34-point lead. That's what I'm going for. A 34-point lead. It's funny with doing these scores because the actual score is a completely random one. Because when you look at rugby, for example, you normally work on 5 points for a try, 2 points for a conversion. So you either do kind of a 7 or a 5-point difference each time. But I think with AFL, it can be a completely random number that you can come up with. But I think it's going to be a strong win by Essendon again if they carry on the form that they've had. Yeah. And then the last one is at the Optus, West Coast Eagles versus Giants. And it has to be a Giants win. West Coast Eagles are, as I said, one of those teams that's going to finish in the bottom two, in my opinion. Giants, I didn't predict them to get playoff, the finals, but they are certainly stronger, and they showed that the comeback, the fight back that they had in round one was really, really impressive. And I don't think West Coast have got anything really to offer. So a 30-point win by the Giants. So there are my picks for the week. Geelong by 30, Melbourne by 20, Collingwood by 20, Adelaide by 6, St Kilda by 6, Dockers by 15, Sydney by 30, Essendon by 34, and GWS by 30. I've gone for some big results. I think after round one, it's put things in a little bit more perspective that, you know, teams are going to run away with games, which I forgot from last year. So I've gone for some slightly bigger scores this time round to try and get in those extra points for the percentages. So how do you think my tips are for this week? Are you going to follow them? Make sure you join our tipping competition. There's still time to try and catch up with us if you do well. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and I will join you for some more live watch-alongs as the AFL season goes. I'll catch you next time.